Welcome to another episode of Plastic Surgery Uncensored. I'm your host, Dr. Roddy Raban, and we have a very interesting show for you. I am so lucky that Amber, patient of mine, has honored us with her presence here on the show. I asked Amber to join us because, as I do with every one of our guests, I tried to see if I can find something unique about their experience that I think you, the listener, would benefit from. And we're always so grateful when patients are willing to come on the show and share their experience, because through their journey, you're going to learn. So we're going to be chatting about, Amber, you had an abdominoplasty, right? And Amber has two beautiful children. How old are your kids?
6 and 8.
6 and 8. You are
41
years old, two beautiful children, 6 and 8. And Amber, as you can tell, is in great shape. She's thin. She wasn't very heavy set. How tall are you?
5'7".
How much do you weigh?
120.
5'7", 120. Everyone's dream. And you gained, how much did you gain with your pregnancies?
Just like 27 pounds.
The expected normal 30 pounds that you're supposed to, not too little, not too much. She is a model mother. And what happened after your second child?
So about 3 months after I had my first child, I realized that my stomach was not going to go back in. I kind of thought, oh, it'll go back in. But I still looked 5 months pregnant.
And that was after your first child?
Yeah, after my first child. It happened,
right.
Yeah.
And then you're like, well, shit, I can't do anything about it now. I just got to keep moving.
Yeah, that's true.
So then you're like, honey, we're going to have another child. And unlike many of my other patients who gained a tremendous amount of weight, lost a lot of weight, you were always very steady. 120, got to like 150, back down to 120, 150, one back to 120. So then you have your second child and you look down and you're like...
Yeah, it had gotten a little worse. I think the first one really is what did it, though.
And how many, let me ask you some questions. How many weeks was each of your pregnancies? How long?
So my first one actually went to 42 weeks.
There's always a good reason. And there was what?
And he was like really big. My son was like especially big.
How many pounds?
He was 9 pounds.
How tall?
And he's like really long. It's like 22 inches.
Right. So nothing usually happens in a vacuum, meaning as you get towards the end of your pregnancy, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, those few last weeks are exponential in terms of the amount of stretch and damage. Imagine spending an extra month when you looked 12 weeks pregnant versus spending an extra few weeks when you're 42 weeks pregnant. So nonetheless, you decided, you know what, it just doesn't look right, doesn't feel right. But I remember you mentioning something to me is, what do you do when you're skinny?
Yeah, like so I come from a kind of like socially conservative background. Plastic surgery wasn't something I would like have thought of to do.
Right.
Even like I knew there was something wrong, but I didn't think, oh, I'll just go to a plastic surgeon. I more like looked on the internet, and unfortunately, there's a lot of information about how you can fix diastasis by special ab exercises.
Right. The if you do these core exercises or this program or this rehabilitation process, you're going to fix your diastasis. And I'm sure you did that.
Yeah, I did a lot of things. Like I wore a waist trainer for like 24/7 for like 7 months.
Okay.
I did special ab exercise for like a year. I lost even more weight. Like I got down to like 115. Didn't help at all, And so for like 6 years, I just kind of like, in a way, like torturing myself, thinking that I could just fix it.
Right. So why this is one of the many things that I thought was unique about your experience is, in today's world, it almost seems like you can't escape plastic surgery, right? Like if you're even remotely on social media, boom, there are images.
Yeah.
If you turn on the TV. So to find an individual who comes from a conservative background, who isn't plastic surgery driven, whose friends and her ethos isn't plastic surgery driven, is like finding a juror who didn't know about the OJ case, right?
I am a little bit of a strange person in that sense. Although my husband didn't know either that a tummy tuck could be something that could help me. I actually don't really watch TV.
So
I don't scroll social media.
Well, there you have it.
Just it just seems so dumb and pointless to me.
Yeah,
most of the time.
which makes you so special, because what it does is it just shows you. So here you are, you had these two beautiful children. Your abdomen, and I'll describe it, had a significant diastasis, meaning you're 120 pounds, 5'7", you're hardly overweight. Yet you looked 5-6 months pregnant. The central abdominal area where the skin was around the belly button was totally shot and wrinkly. Your belly button was thinned out and looked like a hernia. And you spent 6 years, which is not uncommon, trying to fix it by what we would refer to as non-surgical or conservative measures. In your instance, it wasn't so much that you're like, no, I don't want to do plastic surgery. It's like you just didn't even know that that was an option because you, like many people, thought, well, plastic surgery is for people that are like heavier or have a ton of loose skin hanging. I'm just unlucky that I just had a big baby and I have loose skin. So you did all the things which I am so frustrated with exist online because why I'm upset about it is, number one, they take people's money. May not be a lot of money, but it's still their money. Two, it wastes a lot of their time. Just imagine, just for a moment, how you feel right now as you're sitting in this chair in terms of your strength and the way you look, and imagine you gained 6 more years of your life in that new body.
Oh, that would have been nice.
That would have been nice. Those were some special years, early years. And then last but not least, it creates so much disappointment. It's just like you do this thing and it doesn't work. So I'm very anti these programs because, unlike some things, diastasis, muscles torn apart, does not go together by any method other than repairing them. And so what was it that moment that you're like, what? What do you mean I can get a tummy tuck and fix it? So what was that moment for the Amish who are staying away from the electromagnetic? Well, I love that. I wish that I could figure out a way to disconnect myself from all this nasty, stupid shit. But how did it happen?
Okay, so after the 6 years, it did kind of occur to me, well, maybe I do need some sort of surgery. Like, I feel my stomach muscles and be like, man, well, someone could sew this, right?
Right.
So I started looking online, just like diastasis recti surgery.
And so you knew it was diastasis recti. Did your OB tell you? Or?
So I had just for reading online, if you look like my stomach sticks out and I'm not pregnant anymore.
Right.
Stuff comes up,
Okay.
But then the exercise programs and everything are like the first thing, all the internet gurus with their exercise programs. So what happened is I was like, okay, surgery. I'm going to look online. At first, I some really nasty pictures come up of people who had diastasis recti surgery that wasn't a tummy tuck.
Right.
And so I was kind of scared at first and almost stopped looking for a while. But then your website actually came up one time.
Oh, it did?
And I searched for diastasis recti repair in Los Angeles. Your website came up. And from reading information on your website is actually how I learned that a tummy tuck with a diastasis repair
could happen.
Yeah. And so, then I was like, wow, this person is so informative. And then I kind of started.
Okay, so then you went down a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
We got you.
Yeah.
You got stuck in our web. So great. So this is what's interesting. What I thought was interesting is you don't have a lot of plastic surgery experience. You had a medical condition. You eventually went through the sort of conservative, going around the circles, which is quite common. And then at some point, you entered the highway of, I need to figure this out. This is not going to work. You went and did some Googling. Boom, boom, boom. Here we are together. So you finally got the information you needed, which is, okay, A, my muscles can be fixed. B, although I'm not a vain person, I wouldn't mind looking better. And so you decided to seek information. One of the things that you had mentioned to me, I'll back up on that in a second. So you and I visit. How many consults did you do?
So I ended up doing 2 consults. Part of that is I was hesitant. I was hesitant to even tell my husband at first when I found out that plastic surgery would help me, a tummy tuck. I was like, oh, I don't want to tell him. I finally did. And luckily he was like, okay, I'm not, sounds a little scary, Amber, but we'll do it. So,
stop right there before you go there. You were right out of the gate. You're like, fuck, how do I tell? I don't want to tell. And so this is really important because this is echoed by so many people. What did you think? Why did you think that? What made you have that feeling?
Okay, so kind of my social environment is one that once you're a wife and mother, your focus should be on, helping your husband, educating your kids, raising your kids, volunteering at church, all those things. And part of doing that successfully, you really are taught, you don't think about your I don't know, just things that are too selfish or vain. You don't, that would be your priorities would be way off if you're just worried like, oh, my stomach sticks out a little bit.
Right. So your mind, and this is really important because it's so beautiful that you live in a community and you have a lifestyle which is dedicated to some traditional values, which is, I committed myself to matrimony. I'm here to help my spouse through his journey as he is my journey. I've decided to have kids. I'm going to raise them. I'm part of a religious community. I'm participating. All those things. Love it. With them sometimes comes some conservatism. It's like the whole point of this is selflessness, not selfishness. And so you believed, and I think this is really, really important, which a lot of people do, is that if I seek plastic surgery, there's something vain and something selfish about it. And therefore, altogether, it's kind of a little taboo, maybe a little wrong. I shouldn't go there. But you had the courage, and luckily your life partner and you are on similar pages. You mentioned to me like, hey, I think I might be able to fix this, but it entails plastic surgery. And he said, I don't know. And then you said, well, let me at least find out.
Yeah, he was a little hesitant, but my husband is really such a sweetie. I mean, he knew that it was really bugging me.
Right.
So he was like, Amber, if you really want to do this, here's the money. Let's do it. He actually, and then we were talking about how I went to 2 consultations with you. Like 2021, I met with you. And then a whole year elapsed where like my husband said, you can do it if you want, where I was just like, I couldn't like pull a trigger and be like, yeah, let's schedule it. So a whole year went by. And so we had to do another consultation with you just so you could check in, just, make sure everything's all the same. And then it's funny, even after we did that, we were like at your office. I'm like, okay, Joel, my husband, like, let's go home and then we'll decide like when we want to schedule. Cause I couldn't, he's like, Amber, we're going in that little room in the back and we're setting a date.
Right.
He went in there and talked to Sally and like set the date.
And so it's interesting. You yourself felt reluctant.
Yes.
And I think that is so interesting. And I love the fact that you have a life partner that kind of, that's what you want your partner to do, right? When sometimes you dig your heels in and universally everyone knows that the direction is right. We need to go right. But you're digging your heels for a number of reasons, which we're going to elaborate to. He or she, AKA your life partner's like, honey, and grabs your hand and says, we got to go right.
Yeah.
And so you're like, give me your, all right. So I'm picking you up, then we're going right. And so it's great that Joel was that person. What was it that was holding you back?
Yeah.
So you had the money.
Yep.
Your husband was supportive, and you had a condition that couldn't be fixed in any other method other than surgical. And it was not like purely because you wanted bigger breasts because your breasts aren't big enough. It was like, my belly looks shot. Right. So you had all but yet you were still, what was it that was bothering you?
Okay. I mean, it's kind of like, I try to think about that because sometimes you like act, but you don't necessarily know why you are. So I was actually thinking about that on the way here. I think one of them was, it's just kind of like a weird thing, but I just couldn't get out of my mind how it would be so embarrassing to die of getting plastic surgery. Like I really want to do it, but if I did die, that would just be like the worst thing that could ever happen.
Because you're dead. So it's your loved ones. You were afraid that your kids would be embarrassed.
Well, like this, like yeah.
Because you're dead.
Yeah.
So no one can. You can't be embarrassed because you're gone.
Yeah, I know.
So you thought it would, and it's not embarrassing. It's like how silly.
Yeah, I don't know.
How ridiculous.
It's like the final thing that I do is just I did something that maybe like, people that I know would think was like, well, she must have had her priorities way wrong. And then I die of it. Like, what a nice legacy. That's
right. Okay. That's the one. I don't think that's outrageous. It sounds silly, but you laugh about it. But I don't think it's outrageous because many, many, many people are afraid of dying.
Yeah.
Especially because it's aesthetic. So you're like, fuck, I don't have to do this.
Yeah.
I'm choosing to do this, as opposed to, well, your appendix is ruptured.
Yeah.
Well, I don't have a choice. If I die, I die. I mean, so that's one. What else do you think was
One was that, like, yes, we did have the money, but it was like a lot of money for us. I mean, we had the money in the bank or whatever, but, it's still like a big deal. So I would like to say, like, to tell my family, like, this year, this is what we're spending money on, Like we're spending all this money on just mom.
Right. So the second thing, first was I could die, and what a shame if I died doing plastic surgery. It wasn't even anything heroic. Like I wasn't even trying to save a child.
Like I was
like, oh, she went in to get her boobs done. Like that's what you thought. Second is like, yeah, we had the money, but it's a shit ton of money. It's not like I just had all this extra money. And as a result of it, my son, my daughter, they couldn't do this, he couldn't do that. So all the money is mine. So it's this idea of being selfish again. And what else?
I mean, I think that's still that like kind of idealized self-sacrificing, idea from like religion or just motherhood, where it's like, is there something wrong with me that I would want to do this just to look better? Like, why don't I just like feel like my other qualities, whether it be like how smart I am or how kind I am, would be like enough to bring me like peace of mind.
I love it. And that's what we talk about all the time, which is this idea of, there's pressure to get things done. And that's not what we're talking about. In your instance, it's the pressure of not getting things done. There is an equal pressure to get things done as there is to not get things done. And the not get things done is this idea that I should not need this to feel enough, to feel fulfilled, to feel like I'm a good mother. But I should be so blessed. I have kids, I'm healthy. What else could I want? And I think that's a bunch of crap, because it would suggest that one is more important than the other, or it's all or none. Why can't you be super dedicated to your church, be an amazing volunteer, a kick-ass mom, a phenomenal wife, and not have a hole in your belly that prevents you from rolling out of bed? Or let's not even make it that, and have a beautiful nose. Why is it that if you have a beautiful nose, you can't be those other things? Why are they mutually exclusive? And so for people who are on your side of the fence, it's the other part that it is, which is you need convincing that you're not doing some evil act of God. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back, because the word you said to me that has resonated with me, and is the real reason I pulled you in here, was the word of shame. Because I think it says it all, which is, if you are a phenomenal person, mom, wife, daughter, that you feel shameful that you somehow succumb to having to do this, like as if it's a failure. You're opting to do something like you took the shortcut or something. So we're going to come back, because I think that is a massive feeling that many people have. And I think that now that you've done it and you lived the life that you now could, I want to hear from your voice, because I don't have that issue, but you did. So let's take a quick break. We'll be back. And we're going to chat a little bit more about this idea of shame after this quick break. All right, welcome back to the second half of Plastic Surgery Uncensored. I love this subject. I love this topic. I love you as a patient. I think you embody so much of what we try and hope that we can do, which is I try to help individuals who are otherwise just wonderful, and they can't cross the finish line without my help. Not that I'm the savior, but there's certain things that surgery can help you with, and to have that amazing opportunity to help you, and then as a result, have you come full circle and come back and be like, holy shit, I made it to the other side. So we were talking about the word shame. Tell me what that means to you when you say the word, I kind of felt shameful. So in what ways, with whom, how? Give me your thoughts on that.
I think that previous to my experience getting a tummy tuck, when I thought of plastic surgery, two images would come to my mind. One would be like kind of like aging, really rich women in Beverly Hills who look like they've had too much plastic surgery. And then, or like some sort of like, women who work in like pornography industry or whatever, like getting boob jobs. Those are like kind of like the main things that would come to my mind. And so kind of to like make a decision to like kind of be associated with that, kind of made me feel like, well, I don't want other people to feel like I would do something like so unwholesome or, vain, or like show that I like kind of like don't have my priorities straight, like mentally unbalanced. So I think that's kind of where like the sense of it, kind of like afraid of being judged by other people.
Correct, afraid. And I think that's so true. Now, an interesting component of it is Who was judging you at that juncture?
Yeah, it's just myself.
Other than you. So this is where the powerful part comes in.
Yeah.
If you said to me, yeah, my mom was like, I can't believe you. My husband was constantly like, go, shame on you. You weigh 200. You need to lose weight. My kids are like, Mom, I could understand naturally. I would feel shameful too. These people I love are like bombarding me with this stuff. But fascinating. No one said a damn word to you. And your husband, God bless him, Joel, he was like, it makes sense. I get it. So I want to show you how powerful the sense of self and the way we speak to ourselves and judge ourselves is, because you were talking about this fear of being judged. First, let's back up. The imagery you had, which is very common, is a stereotype, right? The stereotype is plastic surgery is done by rich Hollywood women, porn stars, right? And then while that may have once been the time, we're now decades from that. But there's a lot of people who still have that. It has that stigmata for certain people. So there's that stereotype, which you now that you've experienced it and you digged and done homework, what did you realize?
Well, like kind of what changed a lot of it for me was after I had my surgery, maybe like a week and a half to 2 weeks after, and kind of like looking at how my body looked, I was like, you know what? I didn't do something like unwholesome or messed up. I did something great. You know, I look healthier. Like what I did was like healthy and good. So that kind of like was like one of the first times I was really like kind of like looking at plastic surgery in a completely different way.
And interesting that that happened after you did it.
Yeah.
In other words, you sort of had to take a leap. It sounds like you're telling me that you even did it with a leap of faith.
I was
like,
still a little afraid, honestly.
Okay, so the judge, that is being you, apparently after the surgery, gave you the green light that, hey, you did good.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because what it shows you, it's all about perspective, right? What I think I'm going to be associated with, who I am, or whatever. But what it all boils down to is yes, it is selfish, but selfish doesn't mean demonic. Selfish means that I am a person that has needs, and those needs need to be met, and sometimes I'm the only one that can give it to myself. And so the fact is that as a mom, who is by definition, the job of a doctor is to help people. The job of a fireman is to put out fires. The job of a mom is to be selfless. That's how one describes it. And so it's very counterintuitive, and a lot of people struggle with this notion, maybe not to the severity of your instance because they have other images and you're not privy to those images. So yours was really interesting in that it came from a truly, totally non-plastic surgery-driven environment. And for you to climb that mountain, right? Most people are in the milieu, right? They see it on TV, they're on their social media. Even if they're religious, they're still seeing it. You were kind of really off that path, and for you to climb that mountain, get to the top of the mountain, and then pass judgment by yourself that says, hey, I look really good. And you know what? I did God's work in putting myself back together, right? Now I'm a better mom. Are you not a better mom?
Yeah, I mean, hopefully.
No, but are you not more active?
I am feeling just kind of like better generally about the future.
But are you more active?
Yeah.
So can you chase your kids around more?
Yeah.
Can you pick them up?
Yeah.
Right. Can you do more activities, more chores, more things? Right? Do you feel more attractive? Is that important for intimacy of a relationship? Mm-hmm. Right. So all those things are all things that you were trying to accomplish, and they're all great things. So I think that's interesting that there was a sense of judgment that you had. Do you think now that you've done it, let's go to the community that you were afraid was going to judge you. What do your kids think?
my kids, it's kind of funny because now they, like, plastic surgery isn't foreign to them, and they've said some funny things to me. Like I was laying in bed, still like in the laying in bed phase of recovering, and my daughter's like, you know, Mom, that doctor that fixed your tummy can fix noses too. He could fix yours. I'm like,
where did you get that? How did you get that?
What's wrong with my nose? My nose is perfectly fine. I like my nose. But it's just like, you know.
But it's funny because
now
kids say the darndest things. I love that. So that the kids seem to have managed it well.
Yeah, they like my son, actually, he was a little scared at first. He gets nervous, kind of like me. He was actually screaming in the surgery center.
Yeah, but then it's such a foreign concept. But I'm saying now that you're out and you got your clothes and you're dressed and you're going out and about, and your kids don't see you any different.
Yeah, no, they're not, they don't judge me.
Okay, what about your husband? How's Joel?
Yeah, he's happy with it.
Why is he happy with it?
I think he was surprised by how much it like actually improved my appearance, you know? And so he is happy with that.
Right. That makes a big difference, right? At the end of the day, we act like our spouses are supposed to be blind. Like somehow if they really, really, really love me, love is blind. The hell it is. What are you talking?
I mean, it might actually be true in his case.
No, that's bullshit. You guys are all the same. It's all nonsense. Love is profound and multitude of many reasons. However, you have eyes that connects to your desires for a reason, which is the catalyst. Let's say it's the glue that holds things together. And it's not to suggest that Joel, and I speak on his behalf, poor guy doesn't even know me. It's not that Joel doesn't love you or he loves you more or less, but there's no goddamn doubt that Joel's going to look at you and be like, wow, you look good, honey. And that shouldn't be something you should not want. You should want that your life partner desires you more. So that's fantastic. And then what about this community that you're in? Do people know? Does the churchgoers know?
So I only told my immediate family, and they actually were supportive.
Okay.
You know, like where my sister said, you know, she was supportive, but she told me that she probably wouldn't think it was worth it for her personally. But
did she look at your abdomen?
I did show her some pictures.
No. Had she seen you live?
Before?
Yes.
Like before?
No. Had your sister seen what your belly looked like?
Not like just
like,
no.
Hey, honey, here, let's go in the bathroom right now. Let me show you what I'm dealing with.
Yeah.
Okay, so you cannot pass judgment until you walk in the shoes of another person. Your abdominal disfigurement and destruction was not mild, right? Yeah. Mild, moderate, severe. So it wasn't like you had a little mild something or another and you were being picky. You had a severe case. So I don't think if someone hasn't physically, visually seen you, they can even pass judgment because it would be ridiculous, right?
Yeah. I haven't actually shared with, we're going through some changes in our life, so I haven't shared with our church community.
Well,
but
nonetheless.
I did have one person stop talking to me when I told them that I was going to do it. But,
fascinating.
Yeah.
And so how does that make you feel now that you're the beneficiary of the improved quality of life? Because that's what this is about. It's for you. It's about how I feel. Now you have that way you feel. You have people that matter to you. My husband and my kids love me. No, okay, so I'm great. And then you have this extraneous buzzing around, this clamoring of individuals who frankly are not really all that relevant. You're going to have judgment passed on you. Let's say worst case scenario. Does that change your feeling about the process?
No, I feel like they probably need to change their view, you know?
Absolutely.
So
yeah. Anyways,
I know I'm pretty confident that I did the right thing.
Perfect.
So
and that's really, really what it's all about, right?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, unwavering certainty that you did the right thing, and nobody should be able to shake that. Because at the end of the day, you did it for two reasons. One, of course, is the main reason in your instance was that I had no core function. I was struggling. What are the core function things that you lose? I really get back pain. I can't get in and out of bed or any kind of really sudden movements without kind of shifting my body. Some people complain of bowel or bladder type issues, right?
Yeah, I did have bladder. So.
Right, and that happens with the severe case, right? So you had this functional component that you needed, and then you're 40 years old. You're a beautiful girl, you're 5'7", you're 120 pounds, you do all this work, and your skin was that of like someone 3 times your age. Why wouldn't we get rid of it? We can't. So I'm super happy that worked out, and I'm glad that you, just the fact that you're here speaks volumes. The fact that you yourself, you're sitting here, you're on a camera, you're talking to me about it, you're helping other people who are in your space, which is the space of maybe this plastic surgery thing isn't for us. And the fact that you're helping maybe guide them that, hey, I can't tell you what to do, but I can tell you that I had that issue and I made this choice. And as a result of it, now I feel so much better. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, I do feel like it's like I can't believe I was so ignorant because I kind of pride myself on being someone who is knowledgeable. So,
well, I don't think you cannot be ignorant about something you don't know that you have no reason to know. Ignorance is I tell you something and then you fail to understand it. I can't be ignorant about some African culture that I've never heard of, right? So I think that what you're doing is exactly the right thing, which is now you're educating those individuals who might be, and you're right, you said it best. If they're listening to this show, they're probably not ignorant, meaning they're not exposed to it. But you're going to come across women. I assure you, in your group of people, you look great. What'd you do? Yeah. And maybe in your world, it'll be hush hush and it won't be like other people, but you'll share it one at a time.
I mean, I'm kind of curious, like the reaction I will get, you know.
You're going to come back on the show and tell me. I want to know what all the judgment is, but I'm glad that you don't judge yourself anymore and that it turned out to be awesome. And we're grateful that you came on, because I think the concept of shame is powerful in plastic surgery and needs to be addressed so that we can unleash people from this generally self-inflicted ideology. Thank you so much for coming and joining us. Well, that wraps up another episode of Plastic Surgery Uncensored. As always, my 2 requests. Number 1, share the podcast. Tell people about it that you think would benefit from it. You never know who's going to want to do what, and you're going to want to wish they had the information. The second, go write something nice, pleasant, sweet. Everybody writes nasty things on social media today. We love positive reinforcement. There's a lot of people that put time and energy in the show, and we would love it. So, as always, signing off, your host, Dr. Rodney Urban. Until next week, on Plastic Surgery Uncensored.